often our awareness of death, our reflection on death, seems to be focused on other people. It's other people who always seem to be dying. And we don't make the connection, quite surprisingly. To reflect on death, to reflect on one's own death. Our culture thinks of it as something morbid. Something, why would you want to do that? And yet it's something the Buddha suggested that we reflect on every single day. That's how powerful it is. Because we are really internalizing, we're integrating this understanding of the impermanence of this life. It very much changes our perspective. It changes our attitude towards experience. There's less grasping, less attachment. We're able more to be in the flow of experience. So just as an exercise, this is something I found helpful. You might imagine yourselves on your deathbed. And just to make it a little more appealing, give yourself the bed. We don't really know how we're going to die, but okay, we're in bed. So maybe that'll be an incentive to actually do this. But then try to imagine, really imagine, we're dying. And maybe the senses are getting really weak. And if you've been with dying people, you probably have quite a vivid image of what happens. The body, the senses, the faculties all get very weak. The energy is weak. It's not unlikely that the body will be in discomfort or in some pain. So at that time, if you imagine yourself in this dying process, just to reflect or contemplate, what am I holding on to? What am I most attached to at that time? In that visualization, are we at peace? Can we imagine really being accepting of all of that? Or is there fear? Is there anxiety? Is there desire? So just kind of putting oneself in that situation in one's imagination, it might reveal some deeply held patterns. As we reflect on this great truth of impermanence, that the end of birth is death, can we let it in? Does it frighten us? Does it inspire us? Wisdom arises in so many different ways. And one of my favorite and most inspiring examples of the possibility of a peaceful death arising out of a deep wisdom is the stories told of the death of Henry Thoreau, who, for those of you from overseas, may or may not know, but he's a great American naturalist and writer, very connected to the land and a great humanist. So he was dying of tuberculosis. And this is a description of his death, written by a friend. It said, Henry was never affected, never reached by his illness. Very often I have heard him tell his visitors that he enjoyed existence as well as ever. This is quite amazing. He remarked to me that there was as much comfort in perfect disease as in perfect health. The mind always conforming to the condition of the body. That's an amazing description of mindfulness, of awareness. That awareness can hold anything. That there was as much comfort in perfect disease as in perfect health, the mind always conforming to the condition of the body. The thought of death, he said, could not begin to trouble him. None of his friends seemed to realize how very ill he was, so full of life and good cheer did he seem. One friend, as if by way of consolation, said to him, "Well, Mr. Thoreau, we must all go." Henry replied, "When I was a very little boy, I learned that I must die. So of course I am not disappointed now." And he was young, he was in his 40s. "I learned that I must die, so of course I am not disappointed now. Death is as near to you as it is to me." Some of his more orthodox friends and relatives tried to prepare him for death, but with little satisfaction to themselves. When his Aunt Louisa asked him if he had made his peace with God, he answered, "I did not know we had ever quarreled, Aunt." It's an amazing understanding. He had such a deep wisdom about the nature of life and death and the naturalness of it all. One of the meanings of the word dharma is nature. It's just the nature of things. So can we open to it? Can we explore it? Because the wisdom of this exploration leads to that kind of peace.